5 things Yamaha should do if they want to dominate the electronic drum industry. That's coming up. What's up guys, Justin Greenwald here, welcome to 65 Drums. This is the place to keep on top of all things Edrum related, so consider subscribing if you haven't yet. Everything I'm about to say, it's really easy to say this stuff. If you just take a look at what's happening with all the competition and where things are headed, it's really easy to say, well, you should change this and do this and do that. But it's a lot harder to actually build the infrastructure and get the patents and do all the design and the market research and in order to actually come out with these products. But I have about 5 things I think Yamaha could do in order to completely dominate the electronic drum industry. There's lots of room for improvement in all of today's electronic drum sets at every single price point. There are tons of things that need to improve, and these are the things I think they should be doing. Also, a little bit ago, I put out a poll on Facebook where I said, if you could run Yamaha for 1 year, what are the changes you would make to make Yamaha the best electronic drum set company in the world? I'm talking about pure sales. What would Yamaha need to do in order to sell drum sets like crazy, to completely dominate numbers-wise? Number 1, Yamaha needs to release all new drum sets. Their current lineup has been around for a long time. And the last time they refreshed a ton of different drum sets was years ago. I believe it was somewhere around 2011-ish. Like, it's been years since they've really done a complete clean slate of their drums. Yamaha needs to have a completely new lineup. With Roland coming out with new drum sets, quite frequently, and Alesis coming out with new drum sets, it feels like every other month Alesis has come out with a brand new drum set. And the Cat Percussion's bringing the heat with some stuff. You need to be releasing new stuff. You can't just go 5 years without really doing anything. The last major thing Yamaha did in the electronic drum space was they came out with some like chrome drum triggers that go on top of your drum shell, and that's great. I love the fact that Yamaha has their own external trigger line. They look really nice, a lot more professional than the Roland and any of the other third parties out there on the internet, but I want new drum sets from Yamaha. A lot of people are waiting for new drum sets from them. Yamaha has basically positioned itself as the alternative to Roland and Alesis. You got Roland with, super high prices, and you got Alesis with super low prices, and Yamaha's like in the middle. It's got like the durability of Roland, but it's a little bit lower price than Roland. So it's like an alternative drum set. Yamaha's a great company. They make great drum sets. I do have a bias towards Roland, but one of the reasons why I have that bias is because Roland's actually continually making new drum sets. It just seems like Yamaha's sitting around not really doing anything. They need to release a new slate of drums. That's the first step they can do to really dominate the industry. Number 2, when they come out with this new line of drum sets, which will happen eventually, I just hope it comes sooner than later. When they do come out with this new line of drum sets, they need to have brand new drum sounds. You can't be using the same old tired sounds they've been using for a really, really long time, years and years and years. I know they're recordings of their Yamaha acoustic drums. Yes, they're round robin, they're multi-layered, all that good stuff. But the problem is they don't hold up to today's electronic drum sound standards. They really need to re-record their acoustic line drum sets. It's really painstaking to do this. I remember I was talking to the guy that was recording some of the drums for the company ATV with their 85 drum module. It's kind of boring to actually sample all those drums. You got to hit a drum, you got to wait around for 10 or a whole minute for it to completely resonate, and then you got to stop record, and then you got to hit it again. It's really time consuming. There's an incredible amount of work that goes into it. But you can't keep using the same sounds. You can't keep using the same drum modules. A pad refresh isn't gonna cut it. Number 3, this is probably the biggest thing that would help them boost sales. I see this time and time again from all of the emails I get, all the Facebook messages I get. I talk to thousands of drummers, and one thing keeps coming up over and over and over again. They ask me, hey Justin, what do you think of the Alesis DM10 MK2? Justin, what do you think of the Alesis DM10X? What do you think of this drum set, of that drum set? It's always a drum set with huge pads. Huge. The reason why is because acoustic drummers don't really want to go play on, 10-inch pads. They want to have a larger drum pad. And Alesis has definitely noticed this, and they're capitalizing on it. And their pads are actually pretty good. Their cymbals that they have on their lower price drum sets are a completely different story, but at least their drum pads, like the snare, the toms, the kick drum, they're making very large pads. You know what? That's what drummers want. Drummers are going for the large electronic drum sets. They'll sacrifice a lot of things for this. Drummers are willing to give up nice sounds. They're willing to give up durability. They're willing to give up a lot of different things as long as they get a big electronic drum set. Yamaha needs to realize this. This is the way the entire industry is pointing. You need to have bigger electronic drum sets. I think a company can really capitalize on this by having two versions, one that's acoustic sized and one that's a little bit smaller. Obviously, you need them for different price tiers, and that's a whole different nightmare to figure out. But the main point I want to drive home is that Yamaha needs larger drums. About their playing material, the DTX silicone pads, I'm fine with that. I don't think they need to join the mesh drum head, train. Now that Roland has, lost the rights to, their patent on the mesh drum heads, and everyone seems to be making mesh drum sets now, but Yamaha has developed a really nice alternative. I prefer mesh drum heads, but a lot of people do like those Yamaha DTX silicone pads. It's like a very, very advanced rubber pad. It feels great to play, and it differentiates them from the rest of the electronic drum sets out there. So stick to that, but at least make larger drum pads. We can't have small drum pads anymore. That makes electronic drum sets look stupid, and people laugh at them. So we gotta move beyond that. This isn't 1999 anymore. Number 4, this one is not completely a must-have, but it would definitely be nice. It would get all the hardcore electronic drum people on the bandwagon right away. If Yamaha would let you download an entire VST into the drum module, that would be a really big thing for electronic drums. As of right now, the only drum module that lets you download a VST and play it from the drum module, or at least an external hard drive that's plugged into the drum module, no laptop required. The only one I know of right now is the 2-box Drumset 5 drum module. That thing is awesome because of that feature. That's one of the biggest features it has. The thing though, is that you need an external hard drive. The second thing is that I've heard, and I can't confirm this, it doesn't sound exactly the same as if you'd played the Superior Drummer off of a laptop, and colors the sound a little bit. That's just something I've heard. But regardless, it's an incredible feature of that 2-box drum module, and it has single-handedly sold a lot of units. If Yamaha had their flagship drum modules, whatever that new flagship ends up being, have the ability to download a copy of Steven Slate, a copy of Superior Drummer 2, Easy Drummer 2, Addictive Drums. If they gave it that ability, that would be amazing. Only the hardcore users would actually do it. Believe it or not, there's a lot of VST fanatics out there that think everyone uses it. No, most electronic drummers actually just use the drum module sounds. I'm one of them. But anyway, this would win a lot of people to Yamaha's side if they had it as a feature. Alesis kind of went halfway with the Alesis Strike drum module. You can import samples, multi-layered samples. The problem is there's a sound limit. There's like a file size limit to how much you can store on each individual kit. I think it's like 200 megabytes or 300 megabytes, and sometimes a drum kit inside of like Superior Drummer might be, a full gigabyte or something. It's kind of halfway possible, just not to the full potential of most drum VST software packages. Okay, so before I switch to the suggestions you guys had on the Facebook page, I'm gonna do one more thing that I wish Yamaha would really seriously consider before they release a new line of drum sets. They need to make a killer flagship drum set and a killer entry model drum set. Here's the thing. When you go for flagship drums, Roland just owns that space. If you want to get the best of the best of the best, you're buying a Roland TD50 KV. It's the best electronic drum set out there. Now, of course, you can go buy something like a drum set from Drum Tech, but again, that will incorporate Roland cymbals, a Roland snare, and a Roland drum module a lot of times. So the best of the best of the best is usually a Roland product. If Yamaha can claim that top spot, that would show the world that they're really serious about, becoming the best electronic drum company out there. Secondly, if they made the best entry-level electronic drum set, that would be incredible. There's not a lot of rock solid electronic drum sets for 500 bucks. Now we can choose the best of what's out there, but that's completely different from the fact that there needs to be a really solid electronic drum set for 500 bucks that has large pads and good sounds. Let's look at what Yamaha's offering right now. you've got the DTX 400 series. You know, I recommend these drum sets because, you know, most of the options in this $500 price category, $500-600, there's not a whole lot of good options out there, unfortunately. Yamaha has decent sounds for the price. They're not actually good. It's just that for what's being available on the market, they have some of the best sounds in that price. And the pads, they're not going to break. Well, really, they might break your wrists, but they're probably not going to break themselves. And they've got these weird symbols that look like they were designed by aliens. Yamaha can definitely do better. If they could actually incorporate their DTX silicone pads into a $500 drum set and have decent sizes, not any of this, I don't know how big those 400 series drum set pads are. They look like they're maybe, you know, maybe 6 or 7 inches across or something. I'll leave the actual number on the screen. But if they can have a decent sized electronic drum set that sounds good in a recording, that can get people into electronic drums. Right now, if someone's into electronic drums and they say, Justin, what's a price where I can really dig my teeth in and get a really decent alternative to acoustic drums? I have to tell people, you gotta spend a lot of money. You can't get a decent, you know, rock solid electronic drum set for $500 right now. There are compromises every which way you look. You might get like the Roland drum set, but it won't have a kick drum tower. The sounds might be best in price, the TD1, but the pads are weird, and you know, there's just a lot of downsides to the TD1 line of drum sets. And then the DTX 400 series, it looks weird, the pads are pretty hard, but the sounds are decent and it's rock solid, and you can buy a version that has a kick drum tower. And then if you look at something like the Alesis Forge, the sounds are not that great. They're practice passable. Yeah, there's some stuff going against that drum set as well. If Yamaha could come out of nowhere and put an incredible drum set out there for $500, that would do a lot for electronic drums. Because if someone wants to try electronic drums, they don't want to go spend, you know, $2,000 to get a decent electronic drum set, a really nice one right off the bat. They want to start off a little bit with like a practice $500 drum set. Right now, if they go buy a practice DTX 450K, that's not going to inspire them to really dig deep into electronic drums and go find the best of the stuff out there. It doesn't really show off the potential that electronic drums have. So if they can have a really good entry drum set that can get people into electronic drums, and also a really nice flagship so they can show the best of both worlds, that would be incredible. All right, so this is the Facebook section of the video where I asked, what would you do if you could run Yamaha for a year and make changes to make them into like the best-selling electronic drum set company on earth? And I actually got quite a few comments. I just want to talk about a couple of them. So Jerrin said, I just develop a solid, good-looking kit at a budget price with a less number of kits with good sounds instead of useless thousands of sounds in the drum module. He really hit the nail on the head right there, because electronic drum modules have, you know, whatever, 1,000 sounds in them. It's really just numbers. It doesn't mean anything. Most of them are crap. A lot of times, 2/3 of the drum module is just crap. You gotta forget, you know, 2/3 of the sounds. What Jerrin's saying here is, don't puff up the drum module. Put 100% of your effort on creating really rock solid drum sounds. Now you can take this way too far in the opposite direction. Like when ATV sent me their 85 drum module, it only had 5 drum sets in it. That's way too limited, and that's like a $1,000 plus drum module. They put a lot of time and effort into making good sounding kits. I think at least 20 kits. I think that's a good sweet spot, because not everyone plays the same genre of music. Some people want like a funk sounding kit. Some people want a really cool alternative rock sound. Some people want just a classic rock sound. And a lot of times they'll put in placeholder kits where they can put the name, so people think, oh, I saw a jazz kit in there, so I can play jazz with this. But really, the jazz kit's there just so it has a jazz kit, but it's actually pure trash. So we want rock solid sounds, fewer of them, but we want rock solid sounds, and we want decent sized pads at an affordable price. Pretty much asking for everything under the sun, but I totally agree with what he said there. So the next thing is from Rick. Use real metal hardware, partner with Steven Slate drums for sounds, and price point at around $2,500, and have the module upgradable with new expansion packs. So I agree with some of what you said there. They're not going to partner with Steven Slate drums because they're locked in with Pearl right now. There's no way Steven Slate drums would go and make a deal with Yamaha. That's just that wouldn't happen. But Tune Track, the people that make Superior Drummer or Easy Drummer, they could definitely partner with Yamaha or Roland. Someone needs to go make that deal. Pearl has shown that it's possible and it works. I actually know a guy that owns a Pearl Mimic drum module. He loves it. So it definitely works, and more drum companies should jump on that bandwagon. Instead of spending all their time and energy trying to sample the drum sounds themselves, just go make a deal with a VST company and then focus on having rock solid, large pads at a low price. Really agree with that. And then full metal hardware. I totally agree with that too. Plastic really always has the potential to break, and I believe in metal hardware when possible, especially if you're paying a lot of money. And the $2,500 price point, I would pay $3,500 for it. Like that's way lower than a TD50KV. I can be willing to pay a little bit more than what the Alesis Strike is charging because it's not a perfect drum set. There's still issues with that drum set that have not been resolved. I'd be willing to pay more, you know, for a Yamaha Flagship. Yamaha just has a strong track record of putting out rock solid drum sets. So even if they sold it for $3,500, there'd be plenty of people that would jump on that. But I agree with you. I really hope that they come out with a cool Flagship for like $2,500. All right, so the next one is from Brandon. He said, I really love my DTX 562K, but I wish the rack was sturdier, maybe chrome instead of black, and larger pads. They are also tiny. It's hard going from a full acoustic set at one venue one night to an electric drum set at a different venue the next night. And I totally agree with that. This comes down to the playing size again. Some people laugh at me when I say, you know, electronic drum sets need to be larger. They don't understand. They only play in their apartment. And they're like, the whole point is for portability. No, even larger electronic drum pads are very portable because they're usually only this thick. You can stack a whole drum set and it's only going to be like this tall. So you can have larger playing surfaces and it will still be decently portable. I think that's the way the industry is moving, and I think that's the way it should be moving. It's better for drummers to have larger drum sets. All right, so next one is from John. He said, I'd spend a couple million on advertising, and also I'd rename it. I wouldn't name all the kits DTX because Yamaha produces motorbikes with a similar name. And yeah, I totally get it. Here's the thing, whenever you just use a combination of letters and numbers, it's always confusing to people brand new to that industry. If you really think about it, Roland TD25KV, what does that even mean? Since I spend day and night thinking and researching electronic drums, I know what it's all about. I know all the pros and cons to it, but someone who's brand new to electronic drums, I feel like names give them something to grab a hold of. Alesis has figured this out, and they're naming their kits very recognizable names. It's easy to remember the name Alesis Strike versus trying to remember Yamaha DTX 562K. Like, it's way easier to remember an actual name, and I feel like, you know, drum sets should move in that direction. I agree. All right. Aaron says, make full-size pads and cymbals and use a VST. Again, you know, the very basics. Everyone's saying this, and now I know I'm not crazy. I love those DTX pads, but their kits are really pricey. I agree with you, Chase. They price themselves a little bit below Roland, but Roland is really pricey. So that makes Yamaha really pricey. Their prices are too high, and they need to lower them and also make the pads larger. Eric says, make the pads serviceable, partner with a VST company like Pearl did, and make it work seamlessly with the PC VST if you choose to go that route. Now, thankfully, most electronic drums work very seamlessly with a VST on a laptop. You just have to get the correct hardware and software and stuff, and you can get nearly any electronic drum set to work really well with a VST if you put in the work and the hardware and all that stuff. So that's good. But I feel like most electronic drum set companies out there would really benefit from partnering with, you know, Addictive Drums or Tune Track or whatever. And that's about it for the Facebook things. I'm going to rattle off a couple of other things I think Yamaha might think about doing. The first one is simplify the product line. Right now, their product line is completely whack. They've got so many pad configurations. There's so many different options. They should just really simplify it. They should make it so you have a clearer choice. This is part of that whole problem where if you have too many choices, you actually don't end up making a choice at all. They've actually done studies on this. The more choices you have, it actually hurts your ability to actually make a choice and feel good about it. And I feel like Yamaha just has way too many combinations of pads and stuff. If they could simplify their product line, I feel like that would actually help their cause. Second thing, is larger cymbals. I know I talked about larger pads, but the fact is Yamaha also just has pretty small cymbals when you compare it to a lot of other companies in the industry. Right now, Flagship ride cymbals are moving towards 18 inches across. Like the new ATV ride cymbal is coming out, that's 18 inches across. You've got the Roland CY18 cymbal, it's 18 inches across. Every electronic drum set company that makes a Flagship needs to move towards those larger ride cymbal sizes. And the crash cymbals and all that, they all need to be large sizes. Another thing, include hardware on all their models. This is actually a little bit confusing. One time I made a misleading video because I was doing the research on which drum sets came with the hardware and which drum sets didn't come with the hardware. Yamaha makes acoustic drums. They also make pedals. They also make, hi-hat stands. The problem though is that you might buy one DTX drum set from a website and it will come with the hardware. But it's something to do with that website doing a promotion where they're trying to get you to buy from that website because they're giving you the hardware. It's not actually something that comes with every drum set. That's what got me confused. So Yamaha should just make it standard. Just include a hi-hat stand with every drum set. Include a kick pedal with all of their drum sets. They're not expensive to make, but it would be one extra thing to get people to buy it. Believe it or not, there are tons of people that buy these drum sets. They'll drop $800 on them like a Yamaha DTX 522K. And then they don't realize they need to buy a drum throne, they need to buy a kick pedal, and they need to buy, sometimes with certain models you need to buy a hi-hat stand. So if they can include at least the kick drum pedal and hopefully the hi-hat stand, that would be a great move, and it would be one of those little things that gets people to buy a Yamaha drum set. Another thing, XLR outputs. Well, right now the only drum module I know of that currently does this is the Roland TD50, and I just love that. I wish all electronic drum modules had that option. A separate mix for the headphones and the master outs. This is important for drummers who play live with their drum module sounds. For example, maybe I like to have a really high hi-hat volume. The problem is the sound man doesn't want that. He actually wants to have a low hi-hat volume. When you have a separate mix that you can send to your headphones and a separate mix you can send to the sound man, it's the best of both worlds. The Pearl Mimic does that, and that's really cool. And the last thing is get rid of all cable snakes. I really don't like cable snakes. I think they're a terrible idea. Individual inputs is definitely the way to go. But anyway, that was just a handful of things I was thinking about that could really make Yamaha the best-selling electronic drum set company out there. I don't want any company to fail. All companies actually help each other. People choose sides, they fight to the death. They only want Roland drum sets to be the best at every price point, or they only want Yamaha drum sets to be the best at every price point, as if they were sports teams. But really, all these companies make each other better. And there's no company out there that makes the best electronic drum set for every single price point. Every company has one drum set that is the best for a certain price. It's that whole thing, iron sharpens iron. The more competition out there, the better the drum sets have to be. One company starts making larger drums, everyone else has to make larger drums. One company starts bringing the heat with really good drum sounds, everyone else suddenly has to go make better drum modules. It's an endless cycle and it's only good for the consumer. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you want to see more, click subscribe. I will see you guys in a few.